Hello everybody, how are y'all doing? My name is James Jackson and today we got another light review. Today we are going to be looking at the Zhiyun Molus G300. I've been using this quite a bit on quite a few projects that I've been doing over the past 2 months, and I'm excited to share my results. A lot of positives, but also a few critiques. But I think given the design, the compact nature of this light, and the relatively decent light quality to in some cases, great light quality, I think this is a light that you should definitely look into. We're going to cover all that and more in today's video. As I said, we have the Molus G300. This light has actually been out for quite some time now. And full disclosure, Zhiyun did send me this light for review. I do get to keep the light, but Zhiyun does not get to see the video before I release it, and Zhiyun gets no feedback or anything in terms of making any modifications to my video. I get to say whatever I want with no hold bars, and I'm going to always give my honest critique in any product review, even if it's given to me for free. I don't put a product on my channel unless it is something that I believe that is worth value. I mean, in terms of value, I mean, let me just go ahead and take this guy out here. I think this pretty much says this all. This is a 300 watt LED chip on board cob light that, if you put it into its boost mode, it has a max power draw of 500 watts. So again, as I said, this light has been out for a while. It's not really new at all. All right, so I'm here going to go ahead and show you guys what do you guys get inside the box when you order the Molus G200. But as you guys can see right here, this is pretty much not only the packaging box that you get, but this is also, by the strap, going to be your carrying case. This is something that is very, very common with Zhiyun, particularly with more of the Molus line. I kind of wish there was actually I know this is a matter of saving costs, but honestly, I would pay more if it means I could have a secure carrying packages, because obviously this is cardboard. If this is like gets caught in the rain, or it's like elemental damage takes over time, this is eventually going to wear out, and I'm now going to have, be out of a case, and I'm going to have to get something entirely different. But having said that, let's open up the box. So this is the layout of the box. So in here, it's very simple. There's not much here. You got the reflector dish. As you can see, we got the reflector dish right here. I keep this in here because I tend to not use the reflector dish personally as much, mainly because I have the Lightbank modifier. And that to me is like the go-to modifier for me for right now. But you do get a reflector, so if you ever do want to use it, you can do that. You get an AC cable, pretty decently long AC cable, I might add. And then you get the control box, which, again, it's like the previous light, even like the newer HS200s, the connector cable is permanently attached. Not a fan of this at all. I wish all lighting companies would stop doing this, because once this gets damaged and gets pulled, you're pretty much SOL, and you're going to have to buy a whole new control box and maybe even a new light. The cable here, it's a pretty decent long cable. As I'll open this up, I'll say it's a pretty decent long cable for like light stands. However, if you're going to boom this on something like a Minisaur, personally, I feel this is not long enough. And because this is permanently attached, there's no way to extend this. So Zhiyun, whenever you make the version 2 of the G series, I really, really encourage that, one, you make this completely detachable, make the connector cable extendable. So if we want to put these on Menace arms, because the Molus G300, which we'll get to in a second, is a pretty small and compact light and easy to hang up, but we're limited because of this cable right here. The last thing is that they have that old school of having this little strap and you can hang it to the side. Now, in terms of the build quality of the design, it is plastic, but it is well quality plastic. This feels like it can take quite a bit of beating. So I do appreciate that, but I do wish that there was like a clip or something that you can attach directly to it, because I don't like this to have this just like hanging and where it's just when if you're moving your light stand, it's going to be banging against it. But it is, again, a pretty good strong plastic. And then finally, we have here the light. And as you guys can see, this is quite compact. Again, really, really good design. I do appreciate it. I love the handle of it, but yeah, this is pretty much what you get in terms of the unboxing. But let us continue on with the review, and we'll go over the build quality and the rest of the features. I've been putting these on some of my smaller gigs, most recently, notably, the PB&J trailer that you've probably seen on my Instagram, as well as my company's channel. But also recently, I used this as a talking head for one of the events for Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce. Use this basically as the key light, and it looks great, and it was fantastic, especially given that situation. I'm not going to really go into a lot of the colorimetrics because this light has been out for a while, and there's been quite a few reviewers that have way more sophisticated tools than I do. However, I will put, say, a side-by-side comparison with the Aputure STORM 400X, as I feel in terms of light quality and compared to its output, it is the gold standard for what you can use with a key light. I've been using this with essentially this modifier. You guys see me, I rave about this. This is the Lightbank Air 2 modifier, and that is probably the first pro of this light, is that when I take this off and put this guy on, like this little combo right here, like look how small and light this thing is. This is so easy to port around and sort of just transport. Now, as light and compact it is, and I love this setup, and with this modifier, I obviously can rotate this however, if I need to, wherever the key may be, I can rotate it. Now I have a beautiful soft source light that is keying me like right here. I've got a nice big nice wrap right around me, easy to set up. I absolutely love it. There is, however, one trade-off. I'll say a kind of a con when it comes to this light right here, particularly with this modifier. The Bowens mount on this modifier seems to not properly always necessarily lock in place. Like if you're holding this right here, it's fine, but as you'll see as I just twist it a little, it falls right out. So I haven't had this issue with any other of my lights except for this one. So I think the locking mechanism is a bit different for the Bowens mount. One of the only big critique, but again, that's just with this modifier. If I was to take this off, put this right down here, and I was to put this reflector dish that comes with it on with it, it works just fine. It's just with this modifier in particular, it doesn't fully lock into place, and that's a shame. So again, I don't know if that is the modifier itself or if it has to do with the mount of the light. So, but either way, it's a bit disappointing. But as long as you're keeping it sort of not in place or you're not moving it too much, it should stay in place. But I can't fully recommend that, as it could potentially be a safe, even though this is an air tube, it's very, very light. You can put yourself into where it's a safety hazard. So don't fully recommend having that, but it is possible. And again, as long as I'm keeping the light in standing, it's not sort of trying to be mobile. It works. Again, it may be just something with the light itself, but I'll keep, if I find out a solution to it, I'll keep you guys posted on that. But it's pretty much like a traditional chip on board light, but just really, really small and compact. You've got the control box, you've got the head, you got the reflect dish, and then you got the power cables. And again, this whole package is pretty damn small and compact. Just turning on the light, this is still a pretty good, blasting. It's still a pretty good and powerful light. Like right now, this is 2% of the power. And I will say, and the other thing, positive I will say about this light, I absolutely love the fact that I still have a control box. Recently, so many, as you all know, so many of these lighting companies have moved to all-in-one designs where you basically take away the control box. There's pluses to it. Setup times are much easier. It keeps things to us. The trade-off, though, is the fact that you are relying a lot more on sort of applications than necessarily on physical controls, which I personally would rather have for physical controls. And I just got to say, the sheer control, and the controls are just very simple. Like, even lights that have, like, I'll call out the Aputure 400X. It seems like with the 400X, you got to take some additional steps that I feel like could be changed. This is very simple. You got one knob over here that's for your intensity. You got another knob here for your CCT. They just keep it simple. And the beauty about it is you can tap on both and it cycles through. So tap this, it cycles through. You tap the dimming, it cycles through. It's a simple bicolor light. And that is awesome. You just adjust the intensity, you adjust the color how you want to. And then of course, if you hit both of these at the same time, it kicks right into the boost mode, which now goes into the 500 watt boost mode. And I'm like, as you can see, I'm blown out. Now, the thing about it is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but as you guys can see here, it switches automatically to 4400 Kelvin. Now, you can switch out of it and move to the one while still being in the boost mode. Just understand the intensity drops as you move away from that 4400 Kelvin. So 44 will be your max, but you can still adjust the Kelvin. It's just the amount of output is going to drop and change drastically as you shift from 4400 Kelvin. I'm gonna put this back out of the boost mode. The fan, I'm gonna actually kick this on because the fan is actually on. I honestly didn't even notice it. And I think like my own AC unit is actually out of there. But I'm gonna kick this back onto the boost mode, just so you can just see how sound, and I'm gonna remain quiet for a bit. All right, so the fan finally went off. So I'm gonna remain quiet for about 15 seconds so you can hear the fan in the boost mode. All right, so I'm actually going to take my mic off right now, and then I'm going to do another 15 seconds by putting it right next so you can hear. Actually, we just this is a good test. So this is kicking into higher. So this is the hot, huge jets. So this is definitely noticeable. So I'm gonna quit quiet for 15 seconds so you can hear. As I said, I used this on two productions. Both of them, this acted as the key light. With the Chamber of Commerce events, I used it as a key light for the interview, but then when we also got to presentations, I used that along with the Lightbank modifier and basically keyed the presentation booth and basically lit it that way. And then with the PB&J Jam trailer, I use it for the key light for our key characters. Again, the beauty I love about this whole thing is that I basically could easily take and travel. In fact, I actually brought it for a third shoot. So I recently did a political campaign for a local representative that's going to campaigning for go to the U.S. Congress. And I brought this light. I was actually debating between this light and the Aputure 400X. And because I knew we were going to be outside, I also was debating between the Amaran 660C, which I will do a video on. And I was debating between it. I ultimately decided to go with this, but I actually didn't end up using it, which is why I didn't bring it up. But I did choose this over the Aputure and Amaran simply because of this. Like this, the fact that it's so easy to pick this up, go over and take it to the next shot, set up. And then I also have a power generator. So I don't have to worry about like V-mounts and stuff like that. I have a power generator. I can set it up, run it right in, and it's easy to move. And with that power generator, this light, if you're not in the boost mode, you're in the 300 watt light, I could run it for like 3 hours at full max brightness. Actually, 3 hours plus full max brightness. Now, before we go, I did promise that we will be looking at some comparisons to the Aputure 400X. So I'm going to cut to myself in another video where I'm doing some testing down in my studio, comparing it to the Aputure 400X. So let's go to that. So this is our light output and color reproduction test. We're going to first start with the standard, which is the Aputure 400X. Right now, we are setting this at daylight at 5600 Kelvin. So this is what 5600 Kelvin looks like on the Aputure 400X. And we're also checking to see to get to correct exposure. And our current exposure aperture to get proper exposure is an f11. So an f11 is what you need at 100% brightness on the Aputure 400X. All right, so now we are on the Zhiyun Molus G300. We're once again at 100% brightness. We are at 100% brightness in the normal mode. So this is what the brightness looks like compared to the Aputure 400X, and I can see from the exposure we're now in the same area, which is like this part right here is a half over, and then the sides are a half under. So I put this as correct exposure. So in terms of on the face, and to get this, same settings, ISO 800 S-Log3 at 5600 Kelvin, but we're now at an F14 at 100%. Based on this testing and based on what I'm seeing right now, we're only a third stop less bright than the Aputure 400X, which makes sense. This is a 300 watt light versus that being a 400 watt light. So yeah, we're only a third of a stop under from the Aputure 400X. But also we got to keep in mind of the color quality. So hopefully you guys will be able to see the difference in terms of color reproductivity, particularly on the eyes. As hopefully you can see on the eyes sort of the difference with that indigo and sort of what the Blair engine can do in terms of color accuracy at 5600 color. But this is what it looks like, so take a look. So right now we're in 4300 Kelvin. So this is the thing where you get the full max output, and boy, is that fan kicking in right now. I wonder if you guys can hear the fan as it kicked in, because it just kicked in right now. But this is 4300 Kelvin at full max brightness. We lose another third stop. So right now we're 2/3 of a stop brighter from the max mode. So this is what it looks like. So this is at an F16 versus F11 at the normal max mode. So this is what it looks like. Overall, I have been thoroughly impressed by this light. I can definitely recommend it, especially given the price. I know for it's definitely a little bit on the higher end in terms of competitive market, but just purely on the size and especially the quality, especially at 3200 Kelvin, the light quality is fantastic. It's amazing. The light quality is up there. SSI scores, especially R9 value scores, is actually better on this than the Aputure 400X, which is probably the most important because it's the one that really represents skin tones. This is actually better R9 values than the Aputure 400X and the Amaran 660C. The SSI score in tungsten depth, I mean, but the SSI score in tungsten is right up there and on par with the Aputure 400X and the Amaran 660C. The daylight is where it sort of falls short. So for me personally, if you're in a scene where you're, especially in your tight space and you don't got a lot of wiggle room, or maybe you're traveling but you're working in a setting that has a lot of warm or tungsten lights, this is perfect. This is easy because again, it's quick, it's lightweight, easy to set up. The box doesn't takes up very little space in your bag. Yeah, the box that it comes with, it takes up less space than both the Aputure 400X and the Amaran 660C. So it's smaller, light, compact. It's really easy to travel. It's just a great quality light for small travel purposes. And I do plan to use this quite a bit. The only thing is I gotta just figure out what is causing this mount system not to connect. And like I said, when I figure that out, I will let you guys know. So this is it for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I would love to know what you guys think of the Zhiyun Molus G300. Let me know, leave your comments down below. And always, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take care, everyone.